back to another episode of Rail Industry Connected. I'm Dan Clark, and thank you for joining us. The UK has been home to some of the most innovative developments on the world's railways, with hundreds of millions of pounds invested in new and exciting opportunities to make the railways safer and more efficient. For many companies, this takes a lot of time, effort, and money to progress beyond the research phase, coupled with rigorous testing required to make their innovations suitable for the railway. Thankfully, there are many organisations who support these companies and have developed world-class facilities to create ideal testing environments. I'm delighted today to be joined by Helen Wolf from the Black Country Innovative Manufacturing Organisation, it's a very catchy name, BCIMO as it's affectionately known, to discuss the programmes it has available to drive innovation within the UK. Essentially, these programmes will help drive commercialisation process for many. Over the last few years, BCIMO has developed a very unique world-class centre, and we're excited to learn more. Helen, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Good morning, Dan. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks. So, for those that don't know, BCIMO, what's it about? And if you could tell us a little bit more, that would be fantastic.
Yes, certainly, I'd be happy to. So BCIMO, as you say, previously known as the Black Country Innovative Manufacturing Organisation, which is always a bit of a mouthful, is a not-for-profit. And more specifically, we're a research and technology organisation, or RTO. As an organisation, we're the operator of the Very Light Rail National Innovation Centre, also a bit of a mouthful, VLRNIC, which, as you say, is a world-class facility. We're actually based in Dudley, in the heart of the Black Country, and we're really lucky to have such a landmark building. It's a beautiful space. We do work not exclusively within the rail industry. We do have other guests coming onto site. We do have other people using our facilities, but we are predominantly focused on the rail industry. And when we talk about the rail industry, we're talking the full scope. So although it is the Very Light Rail Centre, we do actually have the facilities which allow us to work with heavy rail, with light rail, and really across the spectrum from rolling stock all through to different levels of infrastructure. We have quite a complex and unique site. We're actually based on the site of the old Dudley Railway Station. So again, I know, so the uniqueness that we have, and we were out on the track a couple of days ago with some visitors, was to look at our original infrastructure. So we have a fantastic tunnel, 870 metre long tunnel with a bit of a curve, which makes that quite unique. And that was built in the 1850s. So we have the tunnel, we have the bridge, we have the side infrastructure, and that's all sort of dates from mid-19th century. And then you've got this amazing 21st century landmark building plonked on the site as well. So it's a really special place to be. And you can actually feel that rail history and heritage when you're there, working at the cutting edge of the future, but we still have the homage to the past, which also provides great test facilities for a lot of the businesses using us. And that really is also the nature of what we do, is that we have this multi-use site. So we have the rail development and test site. So we've got a 2.2 kilometre track, which has got a test loop. And I'll talk about that when we talk about some of our clients in a sec. And we also, that continues then down through and underneath Dudley itself, along the length of under the tunnel. And also we have a little bit of track the other side, it comes out on siding. So it's the perfect place for businesses to come and test with us. We have sidings, we have buffers, we have a couple of platforms, we have a rapid charger on site. So it's a really complex site for people to be able to come and test a variety of different technologies on. We also have a range of engineering labs which are equipped. They're actually rented out at the moment, but they will be available some point in the future. We also have serviced offices and meeting rooms across the site within the main building. And we also have, if you haven't been down, some pretty spectacular meeting and event spaces. So we've got fantastic, huge exhibition hall, which we've had some great events in there. If you want to pop along to our website, have a look at a demonstration day that we had for our Clean Futures programme, which I'll talk about shortly. That was a real example of how we use the facilities. And we have an auditorium, which for me as a former lecturer is always a bit of a special place. And I was in there the other day for an event, and it's just, the acoustics are great. what I really love about it is not just that you can come along and use the event space, or that you can come along and use the rail track, but you can actually use the facilities in combination. So again, demonstration day was an ideal opportunity for us to showcase this. So we had industry partners coming along. They were going down onto the track, seeing some of the technologies that we work with demonstrated, coming back up. There was an exhibition in the exhibition hall, and then we're going through into the auditorium and being able to sit through presentations from different stakeholders that were there. So it was a really great opportunity to use the space in its entirety. And we also have another event coming up, which I'll talk about right at the end of today. But as far as BCIMO is concerned, we focus realistically on working in four areas, what we call our four areas of focus, which are demonstrated within a model that we've developed, a framework for innovation called the COG model. And the concept is that all of these four COGs need to work together for industries to succeed, for them to be able to innovate. So they focus on elements of development within the future. So the first one is challenges and opportunities of the future, which will automatically lead to the development of technologies for the future, which in itself will also lead to the need to develop supply chains for the future. And also, finally, but last not least, the workforces of the future, which are essential to skill right throughout that supply chain and develop those technologies. But if you then put the loop together and you actually talk about those workforces involving innovative skills, ideation, creative thinking, then you're actually looking at, again, onto that loop of challenges and opportunities. And yes, we have developed this for the rail industry, but it can also be applied out to other organisations, other industries, and is also scalable right through from small SMEs through to the larger organisations that we work with.
I mean, wow. It's first of all, it sounds phenomenal. I think the thing that I love about the sound of that as well is the fact that you've got all these different unique railway environments, which obviously, our network as a whole in the UK is mixed up with a mixture of Victorian technology with modern technology, and obviously we're going through, signaling digitalization, still going through electrification phases and things like that at the moment as well. So the fact that you've got that right mix there, it must really be able to support businesses do kind of a decent level of testing, research, even training, I would presume as well, by all accounts.
We do. I mean, in terms of, the organisations that we work with, they really are across the broad spectrum of the rail industry. And as you're absolutely right in saying, that the site gives us the opportunity to almost replicate what they will find out there. So, we're not a sterile site where you will go and see things that are created almost in a laboratory style environment. If you're coming in as an organisation to test technology on the site, then when you go out into the real network, then you are going to be encountering the sort of infrastructure that we work with. We're not the only 1850s tunnel out there, or, we're not the only site that runs through an urban environment that has ecology on site that we need to look at, that has wildlife on site, that we need to be mindful of. And so we although the uniqueness of us is that we're actually off the network, so you're not having to shut down parts of the network to come and do work with us and test with us. So we have an exemption from the Office of Road and Rail to allow us to do that. But we replicate a real world environment throughout the entirety of the 2.2 kilometres of track. So there's lots of opportunities to test. And that's realistically why we've been able to work with such a large range of different organisations. And again, as I mentioned, across from, working with sort of '08 diesel shunters on the heavy rail side through to light rail. I mean, we've actually got the new Metro link running directly past our building, which is great.
Perfect.
The new
Yeah.
station's just gone in a few weeks ago. And obviously very light rail, which, is the name on the door. And that's really, if we look at the examples of some of the organisations that we've worked with, then obviously the conception of the building came from the work that's being done in Coventry to develop the very light rail system there. And we do their testing on track. We've had the vehicle with us on and off over the time of its development. And that's been great. I mean, my first experience of running up and down the track when I first started the job was on a CVLR test run. And really looking at the diversity of the site up and down the track. And we were doing some stop-start testing and came all the way back. And the guy was sort of saying, I'm going to tell you when we're going to stop. And we stopped and started and then stopped and started. And then all of a sudden we stopped without him saying that we were going to. And we sort of, oh, you didn't inform us. And he said, there's a fox literally just walked across the track and sat on the track and refused to move. So it very much that real world environment. So yeah, I mean, we've done lots of work with Coventry, and they're a really interesting partner to work with. We've worked with Network Rail. They've been in, run some events with us. They're part of our Clean Futures program, which I'll talk about shortly. We have, the SMEs that come and work with us again on projects, but some will just come and do some testing on site. So we're, for example, working with a company called SenseEve, who had an event with us a couple of days ago. They have some environmental monitoring technology that's on site looking at how our bank moves or doesn't move. And then, as you mentioned, training, we're actually home to a number of training companies. For example, NIS have been with us for some time, and they run rail training courses on site. And it's great when you go down into the ground floor and you look at their facilities. They've actually built some systems in a room. So we've got train track in a room and signalling systems in a room. So they're training their guys in a classroom environment, in a laboratory environment that replicates the track. And then they're literally walking outside and working on the track itself. So it's a great place to come and learn about the rail industry. And obviously an awful lot of organisations that we've been involved in through our Clean Futures programme. So yeah, our flagship programme.
Amazing. Can you tell us a bit more about that program? Obviously, it seems like it's been fantastic so far. Obviously, I've been reading from afar, but if you can tell us a bit more about it, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So Clean Futures programme is led by an organisation called Connected Places Catapult, or CPC. And we run it in partnership with Coventry University and CU Services. And they focus very much on the automotive side. So it's a transport programme. It focuses on the development of clean technology within transport. And half of it is automotive and half of it is rail industry, which the latter obviously delivered by BCIMO. So the premise is that we work with a range of regional SMEs who are coming up with innovations that are either designed for the rail industry or in a lot of cases can actually be redeveloped for the rail industry. So these may be organisations that are working in other sectors, some very well established, but have come up with an idea that would actually work within the rail industry. So they apply to the programme. They have to fulfil one of the challenges that are set each year. And those are, there's a small pool of challenges, but we look at things like manufacturing and engineering processes. We look at greener infrastructure. We look at future fuels. And some of those sit slightly outside the standard challenges. So we sort of to the ideas that they bring. And they apply, and if they're successful, and it is a very competitive process, they receive £50,000 in funding, which helps them to test and demonstrate on site. They receive a full package of commercial and technical support from our, obviously, commercial and technical teams at BCIMO, and we develop the innovations that they have over a 6-month period, the end point of that being a demonstration day. As I mentioned earlier, the last one that we had was in April of this year. So that was a year on from the programme starting. So we started April 2023, put out the call, recruitment process then continued, and we literally launched with our first cohort of SMEs. So there's 20 SMEs each year, so 40 over the total of the programme. The first cohort started in November 2023, and they completed at the end of April with this demonstration day. And the innovations that we had last year, absolutely, I mean, the level of diversity was brilliant. So we had everything from 3D concrete printing, which you've not seen, is definitely worth a watch of the YouTube videos on that one. Great process to watch. We've had a hydrogen injection system, which is absolutely game changing for existing rolling stock. And they're a company that have recently been featured on BBC Click. So if you haven't seen the latest version of that, they're worth a look. Right through to a really innovative freight loading system, rapid loading system, which can be used across different vehicles. And there's thinking behind that of developing a whole sort of national infrastructure for the more efficient movement of freight in what we call the last mile delivery project. So we saw businesses starting to work together, and I'll mention that again in a second. So we obviously they completed. We then went out to second round of recruitment, and our new cohort started in September. All a little bit first day of school. We've thrown an awful lot at them, but they are working really, really hard, and their demonstration day will be towards the end of February. So we're now working towards that. And again, the diversity of SMEs that we've got, the technology that's come through. So we're working with a company that installs road and trackside wind turbines. We're working with a company that were actually on the automotive side last year that produced braided composite structures. And they're looking at challenging the steel infrastructures that we already know on the railways and replacing those with composite that's not only more efficient, but it can be made from recycled materials and it is recyclable
Right.
at the end. So full circular economy within that. Right through to technology companies that are working with passenger comfort modules to look at CO2, heat and light monitoring within train carriages and actually being able to adjust that sort of in journey. And other technologies that are looking at disability access and ensuring that people can have access to information to know whether there is space available for someone with a wheelchair. And what we've seen, we saw a little bit of it in cohort 1, but so much more of it in cohort 2, is looking at the potential for cross-sector innovation. So some of these, they've been out there, they've already proven their technology within automotive, within other sectors, and now they're bringing it to rail. And also starting to see businesses work together. So as I mentioned, we had a project last year where one of the rail companies that we were working with that already work within the rail space were teaming up with the gentleman who's developing the freight loading system, who were then teaming up with an e-bike organisation that were working over in Coventry to create this ability to transport freight, then to unload it, move it, and potentially deliver it to the door. So we're seeing a lot more of that this year, where we're trying to get companies to work together. For example, using the turbines to generate power that we can power a system that's developing 5G within the tunnel that could also potentially work on the composite gantry. All of this is the importance of it realistically is not just to demonstrate the potential for diversification and redeployment of technology, but it's also looking at it from the rail industry's perspective around interoperability and a systems perspective. It's so much more effective if you can demonstrate how this would work as part of a system, not just as a standalone technological innovation. And that's really what's different about this program, is that we don't just work with the businesses to get them to the point of being able to demonstrate and go, ta-da, now it's up to you. We actually talk to the industry. We actually know what the industry wants. We know what it's looking for. We know what some of the barriers are, some of the challenges are for them. And we're able to take the organisations through Clean Futures beyond demonstration to be able to talk to industry, to talk to potential investors, and actually to get that technology out there in the marketplace, not just show it and tick the boxes for the programme. That's the most important thing about it.
I think that and that for me is the very unique element of BCIMO that I really like the sound of is the fact that you've not only got that environment for them to do what they need to do in, but actually, there is that element of collaboration, as you say. There's that cross-sector thinking, which sometimes, as we notice, a lot of industry, especially in transport, can be quite insular, can't they? And everything kind of stays within that industry. So the fact that you've got that level of collaboration there, cross-sector, kind of looking across the different sectors is really important. And obviously you've got a good range of experts there who can support them as well. And that, do you know what, it contributes towards a fantastic environment really for actually doing things that if they did them in isolation, they're probably, the affordability of that would be quite astronomical. Well, it wouldn't be affordable for them, would it, in a usual circumstance, regardless of business size. So that's really important. Um, Obviously, from a research perspective, you can really see the benefits, but I think where you do see a lot of businesses stumble necessarily is the commercialization side of things, because obviously it is there's a lot to it, and obviously not only getting it ready for such a safety critical environment, that actually making sure it's commercialized, people understand it, and how it can be applied as well is really important. So from a BCIMO perspective, how do you support the commercialization process?
I think this is really where the uniqueness of Clean Futures comes in, and the model that we not just have developed so far within BCIMO, but actually working on live at the moment. So if you're an SME and you've been out there and you know what it's like, you've got a great idea and you want to get it out there in the marketplace, it is a long and often very painful process. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the time and the costs involved, not just potentially put SMEs off going through that process, but will cause a lot of them to fail. Over time, it's often referred to in our circles as the valley of death, that you have these great ideas and you have this great level of need within the industry, but trying to marry the two up, trying to get an SME and an innovation to the point of even putting it in front of the industry, they just run out of time. They run out of money. And so, that linear process, if you've ever been through it, and I'm an innovator myself, and you go through that of going, right, okay, I've got a great idea. I need to go and talk to someone in the industry who can take this on. And you go out and it takes ages to get in front of someone. And then you finally get in front of them and they go, brilliant. Okay, can you show it to me? Right, that's going to cost a bit. Right, bear with me, don't go away. And you go away and you start to look for some money, and then they're having a conversation and someone has the potential to come through with some money and go, have you got interest from industry? Sort of. Right, okay, I need to go back and get that. And you literally, this linear process is a backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, and you run the risk of interest waning on one side or the other. And suddenly you've spent 4 years doing this, you've remortgaged your house a couple of times, and that's it, and it's done, and you don't get anywhere. So the way that we work is that we try and bring everybody together in one room, or almost in one room, so that we work with the SMEs and we get them ready for this process. We make sure that the technology that they're developing is showcased in the best way that we possibly can. We make sure they are investment ready, that they understand what investment is, how it's going to work, and the information they're going to provide is exactly what an investor will need. And then we present that information about their innovation, about the funding that they're looking for, about their business, to groups that we bring together. So once every 6 weeks, we bring a group of key industry stakeholders from some of the organisations I mentioned earlier, the main players within the industry, into one room and say, we have a number of innovations. Do you want to have a look? And we will put up the information. This is what this organisation is trying to do. This is the legacy they have so far. These are the results they've achieved so far. This is what the support they're looking for. This is how they see it deployed. And it's not just a one-way street. What I absolutely love about it, having sat through numerous of these now, is what you get back from industry is, oh, that's brilliant. That's a really good idea. Actually, you know what? We could also see the potential for it being deployed here, doing this. And this is something we can then take back to the SMEs and say, have you considered this as a possible deployment for this? No, we hadn't. And so you're getting that feedback from industry as well. And we've literally had industry sit there and go, we want that one and that one and that one. And that's been great. And then in the afternoon, we bring together the investors in the same way. And we obviously a slightly different focus on information, but they get the same SMEs presented to them, but also with, this is an SME, here is an innovation, and they have some real interest from this organisation within the industry. And suddenly you see that, oh, okay, it's not just an innovation that's out there, but it's an innovation that has potential because the industry are already engaged and interested in it. And those are when can we have a conversation with that person? And those meetings will take place, and we have seen the success of the model so far. Some of these organisations have come on to Clean Futures. They've got industry interest. They've got funding now behind them, and they're going forward. They're looking at commercialisation deployment in industry. And it's a really unique programme because for the innovators, it means that they're getting in front of the right people.
Yes.
I'm not saying without any work, they have to do an awful lot of work to get ready for that, but we help prepare them for that. We tell them what information they need to provide. We show them how it needs to be presented. For the industry, obviously, they're looking for innovation. It's important for them. And one of our stakeholders last year at Demonstration Day actually sat there and he said, I love coming here. He said, for me, it's like Christmas morning. I get to open up all these innovations and go, wow, this is great. And obviously, from an investor's perspective, it's less risk because they are looking at innovations, they are looking at investment opportunities that already have commercial interest. They're not just out there; they can see the joined up thinking behind that. So at the moment, we're running that process as part of a pilot test. It is an inherent part of Clean Futures, but it's also a pilot test. But beyond Clean Futures, we're developing this into a model called the Commercial Investment Hub that we hope to continue afterwards. And if anybody within the industry or investment side of the industry would like to get involved, then, absolutely get in touch. And, we'd love to meet with you and have a conversation and invite you along to to the meetings that we have. We also have a digital platform that's being developed to support the board process. But early days for that one. That's a little bit under wraps at the moment. So watch this. Happy to come back and have another chat with you about that, Dan, when we get. But yeah, it'll give us an opportunity then to be able to work with industry and investors who can't, for those who don't come onto site, a little bit further afield and obviously sort of out beyond the borders of the UK, which is, for technology being developed in this region, particularly that cross-sector technology, that collaborative technology, will just be fantastic opportunities to make sure that we supply not just the rail industry in the UK, but the rail industry worldwide.
Exactly, and be pioneers for railways across the world as well. And that's what
Definitely.
this is here to do, isn't it? So I love the fact that you've gone through so many different innovations. There's so many cool things going on, and especially with sustainability being such a hot topic at the moment, digitalization and things like that. It's really nice to see that it's not only like the big companies that have these things going on, but the SMEs as well. And I really, really like the fact that it's, I mean, the best comparison is a rail version of Dragon's Den, I guess. But it's
Oh,
nice that you've
absolutely.
got that kind of style there. I think it's really good that you're getting in front of the investors. So, um, as you say, there's a load of fantastic innovations that you've got going on and working with companies already. But there is a lot more out there, isn't there? That obviously just need to know about something like this to really kind of kickstart them. So how do people get in touch with you and to find out more and look at the different options that are available?
Well, I think first of all, if you want to have a look at the work that we've done so far, particularly on clean
Mm,
futures, and some of the other work that we've done with organisations that have come onto site to do testing with us, and that's not just within the remit of Clean Futures, then have a look on our website. We've got some great links to all the Clean Futures SMEs that we've worked with so far, cohort 1 and coming through into cohort 2. We've got some great videos and sort of animations of the work that they've done and are starting to do, including on our YouTube channel as well. There's also some articles on the website about for case studies of other organisations that we've worked with who've done different types of testing within the area, obviously, again, using that diversity of site. But if you really want to know more about working with BCIMO in any capacity, and our facilities and our programs, then the best way is to pop along to the website, which is www.bcimo.co.uk. There's an inquiry form on the website, and just pop your details down. That'll come through to us, and we'll give you a call and have a chat about to see how we can help. If you want to come along and have a look, and obviously you're invited as well, Dan, then we have
thank you.
monthly facility tours, which are a really great opportunity to come and explore. So you'll come into the exhibition hall, have a good opportunity to nose round in the building itself. And then the cool part is that we go down onto the track, and we have a look round. I mean, our engineering hall alone is just something to behold, a cathedral to engineering. So, sort of 60 by 20 metre building, 40 metres high, with rail tracks running through. So you can come and have a look. We have a tram that we've renovated, one of the old Midland Metro trams, and come and have a look at that. And then we go out onto the track and we have a look at the facilities on site, and walk right the way down to the tunnel and really get up close and personal with the entirety of the site, which is brilliant. So if you'd like to come along to one of our tours, then again, pop onto the website, click on the upcoming events in the events menu, and that will take you to the Eventbrite booking space. And we run those first Wednesday of every month. So more than welcome to come along to that. And if you really fancy something a little bit different, and also would love to make a difference, not just to the rail industry, but to the charities that we support, we're actually holding a family day. So that's May the 17th next year. And we're in the process of planning that at the moment, but it's really exciting. So we're opening the site up, and we're going to be having stalls in the exhibition hall and in the auditorium. We're going to be having train sets on site. The simulator for the Coventry Very Light Rail will be on show. You can come and have a play, be a train driver for the day. We've got some entertainment, we've got food, we've got rides up and down the track. And again, follow the link through. That's on our Eventbrite page as well. And that will be a really important day, because it's not just an opportunity for us to showcase our facilities and you can meet the team and see what we do, but it's our opportunity as an organisation to give back, and we're supporting some very special charities on that day as well. So again, there is a webpage on that for that as well. So have a pop along to our website. But if there's anything else that you want to know, want to have a chat with us, then please get in touch. We'd be more than happy to have a conversation.
Well, that's phenomenal. And I think from a family day perspective as well, it's also inspiring young people into to the industry as well. I mean, look at the opportunities for that. I always wanted to be a train driver when I was younger. So to have that in some kind of simulation and get so close to the track is just brilliant. So no, that sounds phenomenal. Helen, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been really fascinating. I really appreciated the everything you've gone through there. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Rail Industry Connected. You can view past and future episodes of Rail Industry Connected on YouTube or listen to them on your way into work on Spotify. And of course, you can connect with other rail businesses in the industry on railindustryconnect.co.uk. Thank you for joining us, and I'll speak to you next time.